Hi everyone, welcome.
So many people.
Not yet, we have 11, but if you can turn on your videos, that'd be great so that we can have some social facial interactions. If not, it'd be really boring just talking by ourselves, me and Zach. Okay, what time is it right now? Let's have a look. All right, I'm going to start really quickly introducing our program a bit, and then after that, we'll head on to a sharing session with Zach. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our BIG Incubation Program's sharing session. We hold these sessions once a month with different alumni entrepreneurs, and today we have Zach Chua from the Kettle Gourmet, who will share a bit more about how he built his high profit margin business selling popcorn. But prior to that, let me share a bit more about our program. We are a 4-month incubation program for entrepreneurs and startups, and it's designed for early stage founders. Our applications just closed for the September batch, but it will open again soon enough. So we have 3 batches annually, January, May, and September, where we take between 8 to 18 or 20 startups. We don't really care about what industries you're from, so we are kind of industry agnostic, and we're typically a pre-seed to seed stage. We do accept startups who are not from SMU at a 70%, 30% ratio. Here are some of our startups. You might have heard of them recently. So in the last 12 months, we have Turtle Tree Labs who have been in the news recently. They just won a $1 million competition. We have people like a Pratanga, Reality Detector. They're all from different industries. And we also have past alumni who have raised Series B or have exited as well. It's a very founder-centric program where we look for 4 main characteristics. So coachability, integrity, grit, and community orientation. We provide a really comprehensive support infrastructure in terms of knowledge, like this masterclass series or this sharing session series. We also have a huge list of mentors and advisors who can give office hours and advice, as well as sharing sessions with entrepreneurs like the one we have today. Monetary support, we do have different grants that are available, so please go on our website to have a look. And also non-monetary support. We have a really beautiful downtown co-working space, a great network of different corporates and investors, and different corporate perks. We do also have a strong regional connectivity. So if you're interested in expanding to different parts of Asia, we have connections there with different universities and incubators. This is a beautiful location if you're an SME student and you have not been there yet. So please go to the SME Connection building, have a look at the greenhouse. It's 2 levels, a great place to start your work and your startups. We have a really experienced and high-touch incubation team here. And the people at the bottom are our XIRs. So we have an entrepreneur in residence, marketing officer in residence, and tech in residence as well. So this is the brief application process. You apply, you go through either 1 or 2 rounds of interviews, and then we will recommend you to the intake panel. And this is the key evaluation criteria. So we have kind of a founder core criteria that you look at, as well as the competitive criteria. These are applications. Have a look, join our community. So if you're interested, feel free to also email me after this or anyone from the team. And I should stop talking because what is interesting today is Zach and not me. So today we're going to talk a bit more about Zach and how he built a high profile margin business and scaled it. And if you look at his really cute packaging right now, they just went through a rebranding as well. So let's move on to the sharing session. I'll allow Zach perhaps to first start sharing a bit more about himself and his profile before we jump and dive deep into businesses. So if you have questions, please feel free to add them on the chat and we can come to them at the end of the session or during the session, it depends. We will do kind of a 30-minute sharing and a 30-minute Q&A after. All right, over to you, Zach.
All right, hi everyone, thanks for having me. So I'm Zach, I'm an SMU alumnus, graduated in about 3 years ago, 2017. And so I started Kettle Gourmet while I was in school. So right now we are a B2B manufacturer and distributor of gourmet popcorn. So what makes us different is that we focus on the flavors. So we are focusing on like unique localized flavors and of course our channels as well. So anything related to corn related snacks, it's all us lah. Yeah.
Cool. So SMU alumni, when did you graduate again?
2017. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So could you share a bit more about how you got started with the whole idea? He has a really unique story. If you have not read it before, he started this business with $100 and then he started validating straight away. So why don't you share a bit more about how this whole idea got started?
Yeah, so I would say it's an accidental startup that took off lah. So when I was in SMU, I was doing a lot of events. So what happens is, we wanted to validate popcorn as an idea lah, how far we can take this. So what we did is we just designed like a very cheap logo, like $5 to $6, and then after that we printed out very cheap name cards. So we tested the popcorn flavors at the events themselves. So all we had was like our MVP. So we let them sample. You like it, you go online and buy it. So back then we never expected it to take off like that. But on that very night there was so many orders lah, and then we started using the money to buy our raw materials and everything. So that in a way that was like our Kickstarter. So that gave us the validation to take this full time. Yep.
So you started with an event, and you made some popcorn at home basically, and then you created a landing page, a website, and you just promoted the event, and that's how you started getting pre-orders and validation for your idea. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. So the big jump was when one of the customer, she worked for a startup called TripAdvisor back then. So she wanted us to supply her pantry on a regular basis. So that gave us the idea of having a subscription-based business. So the cash was upfront. So we just supply the pantry on a regular basis. So from there, we just scaled to a few pantries, and yeah, the rest was history. Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about this scaling process. How did you start getting more B2B clients or pantries? Because this is all while you're still at school.
Yeah, correct.
And how many pantries did you get at graduation before you realized, okay, let's do this instead of going for a job?
Yeah. Okay. So one good thing about being a product business is that there's sampling. So if you try it, you like it, then you come talk to me. If not, it's fine. So the nature of the product itself really helped. The fact that we were in the product business, people could sample and recommend us to our friends, to their friends. So it was only when I realized upon graduation where I had secured like more or less like five to six pantries, which was giving very consistent cash flow. Then I realized, hey, actually, I didn't need to choose a 9 to 5 over this business, because this was like, it was still part-time and it was doing quite well already. So imagine if I gone full-time, so the results will be definitely much better.
So share a bit more. So at graduation, you decided to go, okay, let me go all out. What do you mean by all out, and what did you start doing first?
So we continued scaling in the sense that we did the same thing that we did, which was doing a lot of BD to a lot of other pantries. So basically we focus on cash. So just being a revenue-driven business model. So upon graduation, I had more time now, so I could do the same thing, but like with more hours lah. Yeah.
Okay, so at that point in time, did you ever consider raising investments or fundraising, or will you just go, okay, let me go get money?
Yeah, so the good thing about F&B, right, the best thing in fact is that it's a cash business. Like, I sell one bag of popcorn, I get cash. So we're not selling a service or product, so there's no cash flow issues lah. So back then, the money was enough to self-sustain the entire business. So there was never a need for me to desperately fundraise. Of course, I believe in strategic alliances. So I always tell like all my mentee startups to be careful, because you need to differentiate between dumb money, what I call dumb money, and a strategic alliance. So dumb money is where someone, with a lot of someone who is loaded, just throw cash at you and just say, hey, go and run this thing. Versus, I want someone to take me to a whole new level. So I think a lot of founders should be careful. Don't give up sweat equity. Don't give up your equity when it's precious, especially when you really believe in your business. Yeah, how giving away 20% just like that, it's going to hurt in the long run. Yeah.
So what to me is very interesting as well about the Kettle Gourmet is that it started off as a purely B2B business. So I'm sure a lot of you know of their competitors. So Garrett Popcorn, for example, they have stores in shopping malls, but the Kettle Gourmet decided not to have stores. Do you want to share a bit more about your thought process when you decided to go B2B versus,
Sure.
B2C at the beginning?
Correct. So now rental nowadays is very expensive. It's ridiculously high. So it wouldn't make sense for a lot of startups to enter the retail game straight away. Maybe in future, but I rather deal with B2B because like they one shot. You only deal with one stakeholder. That's the most important. Fewer people, fewer problems. So you only deal with one stakeholder. So the cash they usually order in bulk. So the cash is there, and you logistic wise you only deliver to one location. So I always advise people to just focus on B2B because that's where the money is. Yeah, but of course you cannot disregard B2C. Yeah.
Yeah, could you share a bit more about your profit margins a little, or how you started thinking about how much you have to charge and how you came up with your pricing? Because I think a lot of people could be interested in that.
Got it. So in terms of pricing, it really depends on your industry. So like for food, right, my rule is minimum 5 times. So example, let's say if you eat a pasta, how much do they charge for pasta? Now quite expensive, right? 9. The cost for pasta, if you all don't know, is about 50 cents, right? I mean, don't say prawn or this, it's like a normal pasta, carbonara. So 50 cents versus 9.50, definitely pasta is more than 5 times. So I always recommend watch your numbers very carefully. So like for popcorn, right, for snacks, snacks is, you have to understand, let's say if you were to scale overseas, you scale internationally, your distributors will take half. And the half is to be split between the retailer and the distributor themselves. So a lot of the startups that I see out there, they don't have much margin. Let's say they're selling, I don't know, example, water, for example. Let's say it's $1, but their cost, it could be, let's say, 50 cents. If it's 50 cents, it wouldn't be a feasible long-term game really, because half of it will always go to the distributor, assuming you want a worldwide product. So you have to think backwards. Like, assuming my product is all over the world, I must be prepared to lose half of my margins for it to scale. So being numbers driven is extremely important. If the numbers are not right from the beginning, right, you can don't bother moving forward really.
So what's a good range, or what's a good profit margin, I think, for a food business or a snack business to have?
So snack, my rule of thumb is it should be more than 5, especially if you are the manufacturer. If some of them they do what we call OEM, so they find external manufacturers to do it for them. So that could be like lower because they have fewer costs, lesser costs. So about 3. Yeah, but the higher, the better from the start. So it's very simple maths. You either increase your price or you decrease your cost. So you increase your price through branding and marketing. You decrease your cost through finding a better ordering in bulk and everything through cost saving means. Yeah.
So that's interesting. Let's talk about these two, right? Increasing price and reducing cost. So would you share a bit more about what the Kettle Gourmet has done to, in terms of branding to increase the price, and then in terms of reducing cost, what you have done as well?
Okay. So we recently undergone a rebranding exercise. So it was because during CB there was nothing much to scale. I mean, everyone was on defensive mode. So I thought to myself hey, why not just take this time, don't waste it, go and do some rebranding. And at the end, you can charge a premium. So we rebranded our old orange bags to the now the ones that you showed just now, the cute snack monsters. So that really helped a lot in terms of our margins. And lowering cost wise, we also moved to KL. So I believe normally as a startup scale, your revenue graph will increase and your cost will increase. But the true scaling is when your revenue increase but your cost decrease. I think that's the real secret, the truth behind scaling.
So you don't have an F&B background at all. Yeah. So my question is then, how did you figure all these things out in terms of distribution? How do you figure out all these costs and scaling and stuff like that? Would you share a bit more with our speakers, our students here?
So I'm more a business person than a food person. I feel that in F&B, at least in snacks, the secret isn't the recipe. It's never the recipe, because nowadays you can Google how to make caramel popcorn. Probably you can do one yourself and compete with me, no problem. But the real thing, the real secret is execution. I think that's even harder to do or to find. So for us, our secret recipe is our channels. We got into a lot of places that a lot of people they find it quite difficult to do. So I think protecting your channels is more important than protecting a recipe. Of course, both are important but yeah. So how did I do? At the start, it was a lot of common sense. I had no background, so I used Excel for my posts. I used basically I recorded having an accounting background helped as well. Yeah. So watch your numbers very carefully and focus on profit. So that was the only thing I did.
Your mantra, basically, focus on profits.
Yeah, yeah.
And how did you go about securing all the different channels? Could you share a bit more of, what types of channels there are, perhaps that, people can think about?
So the fun part about a product business, like I said, is really still samples. Like I try, I like it, I like all my friends try, they like it, they let all their friends try. So the word of mouth was our main marketing strategy. How I got into channels was also through word of mouth. More and more pantries started ordering, and then from there, a lot of hotels started ordering. When we did weddings, we did a lot of random celebratory moments like your birthdays, parties, weddings, any social gatherings of sorts. We were quite popular with them. Yeah.
There, I wanted to go a bit back to the product itself. So, like in the startup world, we always talk about iterating your product and getting product feedback. And I wanted to share, I guess, that for product and food businesses, they also kind of go through the same process. So I think when Zach first started, they only had one flavor of popcorn, the caramel popcorn. Am I right? And then now you have like bazillion times of flavor. Like that's a unique selling point, which is you have different types of local flavors. Could you share a bit more about how you went from having one flavor to, whatever you're doing right now?
So a lot of it was based on feedback. Like, as I go and network with people, they tell me like, hey, why don't you do this flavor? Why don't you do this flavor? So a lot of it was listening. Yeah, I think listening is a core skill a founder should have other than selling. So you just need to see what the market is talking about. They're like, oh, hey, too sweet, leh. Garrett's too sweet. I need something better, for example. Or for us, it was like, hey, we only got one flavor. I want more, very boring. So from there, we started doing different flavors. So the thing about flavoring nowadays, right? I mean, the industry is that the sad truth is the flavoring now tastes nicer than the original flavor. So a lot of it you cannot tell. So it's good for us so that we really capitalize on flavors to really bring out. We use popcorn as a medium to really just bring out the flavors. So that's why the opportunities for us is really endless, lah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's how you came about your unique selling point, which is local flavors. Do you have you want to share your screen to show a bit more about the different flavors you have and how you're trying to capitalize on these local flavors for, future growth and future products?
Okay, so if you go to our website, it's www.thekettlegourmet.com. So you can see we are known for our wacky flavors lah. So what happens is, so we have chili crab, we have chicken floss, we have kaya is amazing, salted caramel.
You have nasi lemak flavor.
Oh, nasi lemak is my favorite. I binge nasi lemak. So do check out our website if you are free. You can actually explore. Pretty cool. So this was our old packaging, the orange one. Then we transited. I felt that the character, it didn't it is nice, but it doesn't communicate that inside is popcorn. So I switched. I wanted more fun. So with characters, I can do a lot of things. I can have my own YouTube channel. I can do merchandising stuff, toy like the Pokemon shop. Yeah, so these are all our flavors. There'll be more to come. So as we scale, so for now it's just we'll stick to 6 for now, and that's the strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a bit more about how during the COVID period, or when you first started, you tapped on a lot of government grants. This is like very hot topic among all our founders and startup founders. How do you get money to help you scale? So maybe you want to share a bit more about the different grants that you've tapped on and how they have helped you.
Got it. I hope no one is from ESG here. So okay,
you're trying to help people like you, right?
No, so my take on grants is that the government is giving money and that everyone should just take, because money is on the floor. Please go and grab them. You just need to spend some time, invest in really reading on how to tap on the grants, what are the criteria and eligibility, whether you fulfill them. So the one thing that really helped me was the GTP grant, which was the interns, especially when I first started, right? I was a one-man show. No one could help me. Or rather, I couldn't afford a full-timer. So that was the idea of interns started coming in. For food especially, it's quite routine, it's quite easy, no need a lot of strategy. So that's why I started tapping on the intern grants. Back then it was called STP, now it's called GTP, Global Ready Talent Program. Please check it out.
And the other one is... Wait, they subsidize how? So share a bit more about the details.
70% of your intern's salary. So for us, we pay 1K. So the government will pay 700. So I only pay 300 for interns.
And how many interns have you hired from this program?
Oh, a lot. Lost count. But along the way, like, it was a 3-year thing, so it was quite a bit. And then the other grant, which as you grow eventually, you can check out EDG. EDG is like your enterprise development grant. So that one is for bigger projects, but that one they subsidize depending on your category, like 50% for machineries, 70 to 80% for things like strategic brand management and marketing. So one advice I have for those startup founders is you go to the EDG website. There's only two things that should happen to your business. One is you IPO, the other one is you exit, you sell, right? So you choose your path. From there, you look at the grant website. You choose. They actually mapped out for you the journey you want to take. So from there, you can actually just see which grant to tap on accordingly. So that's a very good vision strategy for you in terms of your execution in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you tap on grants to rebrand as well. So was it the same EDG grant or?
Yeah, that's under EDG strategic brand management. Yeah, check it out.
Oh, brand management. So they help.
So it's naturally working in paperwork. Yeah, sorry.
So it's also like rebranding. They also help basically, and they supported it.
Correct. So naturally, there's a lot of paperwork. You guys need to watch your cash flow because it's on a reimbursement basis. So sometimes they may take quite long. So you need to plan your cash flow accordingly.
And how long does it take to apply between application or preparing the application to actually, getting the money? So how?
Oh, it really depends on. Okay, it really depends on the time. Depends on the type of grant. So like for the interns one, it's much shorter lah. It's about 1 month after the end of the internship. But for the EDG, it can take 6 months. So you basically just have cash to tank through the period lah. And in the unlikely event that they reject you, also you have to no choice lah. Yeah. But more likely than not, it's a pre-approval first. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us a bit about what's next up for the Kettle Gourmet. So I heard you have some new strategy from moving to B2C right now. Would you want to share a bit more about that?
Yeah, so after 11 months of back and forth negotiation with NTUC finance, because it's very expensive to go in, we managed to get in at a preferred deal. So come 1st November, you can find us at NTUC Finest, all 26 outlets.
And what's the rationale in moving from B2B to B2C right now? Because all along you were a B2B business.
Correct. So one is diversification, like because of COVID, right? Not all offices are open still. So I need to tap on the everyday B2C market. The other one is eventually, once you're in B2B long enough, the market will saturate naturally, just like any market. So you will start to want to diversify and scale to find other untapped markets. So I think like my strategy is really conquering one market at a time. So after B2B is B2C, after that is internationalization. Okay.
Maybe let's talk a bit more about, trying to distribute locally in retailers like NTUC. Is there tips that you can give, or I guess some idea on how much it would cost to put a product in NTUC, like generally, like a range, so that people can start planning for that?
Okay, so it really depends on your type of product. Are you a food or FMCG or an everyday kind of product? So I cannot speak for NTUC, but for us generally, for food snacks is about 30 to 40K for one whole year, all in, because there's listing fees, there's account opening fees, they'll take a cut, there's merchandising fees, there's AMP, what we call AMP, advertising and promotion. Yeah.
Okay, so about 30 to 40K to list in any distributor space.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite a lot. It might not be feasible for a young startup.
It's retailer, so.
So what do you think is a good tip or strategy for, for example, we have students right now who are like, okay, I want to start a snack company. And obviously I can't list on retailers, right? So what do you think is a good pathway to follow right at the beginning?
Got it. The first thing is really watch your numbers. You must fulfill the 1:5 times rule. Your cost has to be at least 20. You must have at least 80% profit margin. I know it's a bit hard to accomplish, but that will really help you in the long run. So after assuming your numbers are there, then work on your branding, because really foundation is everything. It's very expensive to have a brand and then later rebrand, because people will already recognize the old brand. So get the foundations right is very important, and focus on cash. Like really, like if you don't focus on cash, you can literally just go bankrupt. So cash through distribution. So these few things. So branding, getting your numbers right, and getting your distribution channels out there. Yeah.
Okay. And then, what kind of distribution channels are good to get started with? Would you say like go for events? Would you say try to do a B2C commerce website to start? Like what would be a good few channels to start trying?
So it really depends on your strategy. There's no one fixed rule. If you want to scale fast, then you can do both. You can hire more people to do both. If you want to be lean and don't want to burn money, start doing like B2C. We have your own website, so you can really save on a lot of costs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you kind of mentioned that at the beginning you started like just making popcorn at your house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was that legal, technically speaking? Like, what's
No.
the licensing? Can you
Okay.
share a bit more about, the legal aspects of it,
Okay,
food
so
safety and
now we are, of course, we are legal and all. Like we have a license, AVA licensed kitchen. But back then, because we haven't really incorporated, so we classify under selling to family and friends. So it was still okay. There was nothing illegal. Yeah.
oh,
It's
so
just
is
a
there
great.
like a sell under family and friends thing?
Correct. So like now, now there's a lot of home-based cooking business. So it's actually also gray area. It's by right illegal, but there's somehow they manage, some of the startups manage to maneuver around it. But I think ultimately it's also good to have that because the government is concerned about the public health. You don't you eat and you diarrhea or what. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's pull a bit back more to the startup journey and USP and stuff. So obviously, I think the secret sauce that you have is unique local flavors. And you mentioned during our previous chat that you have your eyes on a new adventure, basically using the same, I guess, unique selling point to launch different new products. Do you want to share a bit more about that?
Yeah, so basically, I realized that the flavoring market, there was a space in the flavoring market. So if I could restart my whole journey, I would do even more brands together concurrently. So for example, why not have chips, potato chips, like tortilla chips with local flavor? Like I know there are some startups already doing it now. So we might enter that space. Even like Twisties is also corn-based. We can do like local flavored Twisties to compete with Twisties. So the opportunities are really endless for flavoring. Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to so are you going to maintain these 6 core flavors that you have and then just replicate them across different,
Yeah.
like,
So
your idea?
the 6 flavors are really data driven. So the moment sales drop, we will kick them out and replace them with other flavors. Yeah.
Oh, could
I
you
mean,
share a bit more about how you get this data basically? So you track everything and every month you have an analysis of which flavors are the most popular?
Correct. So I mean, naturally, people after a while you eat, you'll be very sian. So we are quite practical as well. For us, our innovation strategy really is to constantly change the flavors to suit people's needs. So like, for example, if we were to expand internationally, we probably will do a local flavor in their country. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, I guess, what's next as well, other than having different products, is overseas expansion and overseas distribution. Could you share a bit more about that? I heard that you have some interest from overseas market. Share a bit more about what you're thinking about it and how you decide to go about doing it. Are you selling a franchising fee? Are you retaining, like the recipe? Like, what are your thoughts?
Got it. So we won't do franchise. So basically what happens is our rebranding, we got it right. We were very lucky. We got it right on the first try. So a lot of overseas distributors have expressed interest in carrying our product. Like a lot of like Brunei supermarket, China, a few China distributors. So we will retain the recipe, we will retain everything. But we might work out a deal with them whereby we provide them at wholesale rates. So it's really scaling. But I must emphasize, I think for a lot of local startups, you have to work on your foundation first. You need to get enough validation, like build a strong enough foundation in Singapore to really give you confidence. If not, you scale too fast, you may get rejected. You may be delusioned into thinking that people really want your product. Yeah.
So for you, they are reaching out to you, right?
Yes, correct.
So what's very interesting about Zag and the Kettle Gourmet is that they don't really spend any money on marketing, and a lot of it is by word of mouth. So, share a bit more about how you got there, basically. Like, what do you focus on to get to a spot where you don't need to spend marketing dollars? Because obviously, all of us want to do that.
So I think really it's focusing on having an excellent product. Like that is the short answer.
Well,
If
but what
you
do you
was
mean by that? How do you focus on having an excellent product? So, what are the key things today founders have to
yeah,
do?
correct. Our strategy is really being unique, such that we are the only one. So there's a novelty factor. The second thing is we focus on really quality ingredients. So our R&D chef, we go through a lot of R&D to really finalize each product. That's all. That's why we are very confident of our product, regardless of which country lah for now. So we are really focused on doing something. Number one, that no one else is doing. Number two is really your best. Yeah.
And do you do testing, I suppose, for each new flavor? And how do you do that?
So now we have a full-time R&D chef. So all she does is just bake popcorn.
That sounds fun.
At the start, yeah lah. After that, wow, very sian. No, but anyway, what happens is after it happens, we have a focus group, and then we all try lah. Anyway, we critique it. Yeah. So I get my chef's friends to come and try. How can it be better? Yeah.
And then when you release it out into the market, do you, for the new flavors, watch it really closely to see how sales are in the first month, and then you decide to cut or not to cut?
Yeah, correct. So a lot of it is data. So like the sales, the numbers will speak for themselves. So you really need to focus on the right matrix lah. For us, is really revenue of the product. Yeah, how many quantity we sell. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so that was super interesting. And I think like one last question before we go to Q&A is, as a entrepreneur itself, obviously, you need network, you need connections, you need people to ask. Like, how do you suggest our founders to go out and search for this network? What are some tips you can give them in general for them to become, I guess, more connected and more successful?
I think there are a lot of events. I mean, back then there were a lot of events. So I think founders should definitely go out and get exposure to the different industry and the challenges, and meet the different people that are in the different industries lah. So there's no secret to networking. Really, it's just a lot of hard work going out there, selling yourself, selling your product. I feel networking was one of my core fundamentals to one of the secrets lah to scaling very aggressively. Yeah, it's really getting your name out there. There's no secret lah. It's just hard work. Yeah.
So basically, you just went out there and talk about what you have all the time and hustle and just say, hey, I have this popcorn business. You're gonna buy popcorn.
Yeah. So for us, it was quite fun because we just went out. We just gave out free. Yeah, like, hi, this is my product. Want to try? And kind of thing. So product business is always much easier than service.
Yeah, but you need money to be able to get free products, right? So
yeah, so that was later on lah. So we had set aside a small amount for events.